done. Intro. It's intro time. Shush. Everyone shut up. Hey guys, welcome back. We had some technical issues in the studio, so the live stream dropped, but we are recording it and we're going to be publishing this as soon as the stream is over. So stay tuned. We're going to have additional content coming up. And actually, we are going to pick up where we left off. We were talking about X-Men Dark Phoenix and the 355 writer Simon Kinberg taking over as the writer for the next Star Wars trilogy and upcoming Star Wars projects. He's going to basically be filling the shoes of the original writer who I think he ousted last week, or left last week, exited the project. Someone we actually kind of liked, I think, because he was the writer for...
Yeah, is it the same movie, though? Because you got the Rey movies, and that was just a movie. Now this is the trilogy.
Well, the Rey movies were going to be...
It's hard to keep up with what's canceled and what's not.
It is, because it is very, very difficult. So the Rey series is a trilogy, and so I'm inferring that they are the same trilogy. Because the news is dropping, like, back-to-back, and they're telling kind of the same stories, like this is the new writer. And in fact, considering that we are still on this series of stories, I'll just move to the next Star Wars story. So, new Star Wars trilogy will allegedly feature Daisy Ridley's Rey as an Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. So, unless they have 6 movies planned and just brought a new writer in, I'm thinking we're talking about the same trilogy. That's my assumption, unless they have 6 movies planned.
Why are people so hell-bent on failure these days? I don't understand it.
Well,
nobody gives a fuck about a Rey movie. No one cares about Mando and the Green Fucker. And I think this one guy is coming out with a like beginning of the Jedi kind of thing that takes place 20,000 years before.
Right.
That one could be good. James Mangold, I think, is making that one. He's made some good shit.
Well, a new Jedi Order project could be good. The problem is it's the wrong company to own Disney. Not own Disney, but to own Star Wars. Like, Lucasfilm, honestly, is a huge part of the issue, right? I mean, Lucasfilm doesn't even know what to do with their own product anymore. But Disney's involvement, like, really soured the well on that one, because even up to and including the Revenge of the Sith, right? The last Star Wars movie that we really got under the original ownership.
It was the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And then, okay.
Nothing else came after that.
Okay, fair point. But you know what I'm saying is that, like,
yeah,
like ever since Disney took over the reins, they've had no idea what to do with this IP. They've never had a clue. They started off, and they kind of had to. They kind of started off softly converting things. You know, they did The Force Awakens was absolute trash.
A remake.
Yeah. But you could see very clearly what they were trying to do. And then not A New Hope, but Rogue One, they were trying to tell a story that literally did not include the Jedi. So you kind of had new ground to stand on there. Because, yeah, Lucasfilm and George Lucas didn't really do that on screen on a movie before. So you didn't really have any projects that didn't feature Jedi in a major way before Rogue One. So Disney was already treading new ground, but they were trying to both keep the original idea of Star Wars and completely break it at the same time. And they never stepped away from Luke Skywalker. They never stepped away from Luke Skywalker or the original characters. And if they wanted to tell a new story, which the point now as I'm reading this,
they killed them all off.
Right. Well, now that they're telling this new story with Daisy Ridley, they are saying that they're saying that they want her to play as an Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, but I'm looking through where it says, let me see. Okay, so I'm trying to find the original quote in here that said, here it is. Okay, so the intent here is to have a new brand. The intent here is to have brand new characters and a new story, and not have it be a continuation. Sources told the Hollywood Reporter. So they're not trying to continue telling the same story. They're trying to build off brand new, which
they're giving Rey Luke's story for what happens after Return of the Jedi.
Which, if I'm not
they've been doing this entire time. They've just been replaced. They've been taking stories from Legacy and whatnot that they decanonized, and they've just been nitpicking and throwing it in wishy-washy because they don't have any fucking ideas.
Right. I mean, there's no I mean, I was thinking that we were going to get like Rey's original trilogy, the original trilogy, which would have been the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I was originally thinking that was going to be the rebuilding of the Jedi and stuff like that. Do you remember? But instead they basically just retold the battle with the Empire, but worse.
Yeah, it did the same thing.
They had another
They're standing on the shoulders of giants and just failing miserably.
just taking a big old dump on that shoulder of the giant.
Yeah, just take a plop right on his head.
And then the giant says, "Thank you, sir. Can I have more money?"
Yeah, I'm over Star Wars as a whole. I have no hope for it going into the future. I don't care about it anymore. I don't even play SOTOR online that much anymore.
Yeah.
It soured the taste so much that
Yeah, Disney is not going to be able to recover this franchise. You had Ahsoka, you had Andor, you had I can't even remember what the last one was. What was this one that failed so hard that now I can't even remember what it's called?
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte. I'm mixing it up in my mind with Agatha all along. All these failures just blend together so seamlessly.
Well, they both had a coven of lesbian witches.
Yeah. So it was.
And then we got another show, Dune, coming out with a coven of lesbian witches. So.
I don't want that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For you two, because you guys obviously watch like way more. Just I'm gonna say everything than I do.
Yeah.
Because I know Disney not too long ago said that they're going to focus on entertaining and not messages. Do you guys feel like that has actually changed at all, or do you think that was just a bunch of gibberish that was?
So I'll let Cody. Cody respond to that one first, but then I have a take on that question. So Cody, go.
It was a bunch of gibberish, and it's also like connected to we're going to put out more quality instead of quantity, and that's been bullshit. They've just been dropping shit left and right, and we still got more shit to come in the next few years.
You think those projects were already in the process of being made before this statement was put out there?
Probably, because we got some projects on the way that were finished like 3 years ago. So
right, and held off during COVID. Yep. Well, you had to keep in mind that Bob Iger said that after the change in leadership. So there is a case to be made. I mean, Matt, to your point, there is a case to be made that some of the movies might have been made under the original or under the older CEO, Bob Chapek, and then Bob Iger kind of just has this trunk filled with movies he has nothing to do with except release. And so even though he's making this commitment, he maybe feels compelled to or needs to make $1 off of whatever he can. The issue is that every one of his actions, Bob Iger's actions, contradicts that message, and it's not the first time he's said that either. So he's made that same pledge twice, at least that I'm aware of, and not like there isn't a single action he has taken in his tenure as the CEO in his second time doing it that gives credit to that claim. So it's not like the new projects he's announced make it seem as though he's stepping away from the messaging, right? Like this new Rey movie is still going to be a boss babe, like Mary Sue, like women power, like Star Wars project. And the Acolyte wasn't an ancient project sitting in a trunk. That was brand new under Iger's leadership. And
after they hired Obaid Shanine Jacoy or whatever the fuck her name is to write and direct the new Ridley stuff, and the only thing she's done is feminist documentaries. That doesn't sound right.
Documentaries
in the Middle East. Documentaries.
Documentaries.
His brain is like fighting himself.
It's noon. It's way too early for Cody. No,
you know that's wrong.
But he's
Say
right.
Something else.
Yeah, but he's right. But in addition to like. He's right. All you have to do is look at even if you don't want to look at the movies and say these were intentional choices that were made, like you don't want to, if we didn't want to blame Bob Iger, which I have no problem blaming Bob Iger, but if we didn't want to, if we wanted to give him the strongest steel man possible, you could also look at his hiring choices and just say that yes, in addition to the director he hired, also Leslie Headlamp, he refuses to hold Kathleen Kennedy back and like restrain her from making all these bad decisions. All the new movies that have come out, or like all the new Disney cartoon family movies that have come out, all have some sort of political message behind them, or have inserted LGBTQITA plus 7 messaging in them. So I mean, like, every decision he's make, even if you want to categorically set aside one chain of decisions he's made, like the casting, you could look at the movies he's produced and the political actions Bob Iger's taking. If you wanted to
I
ignore
don't think Bob Iger has a lot to do with it. It's more the people in the creative positions. He's just the dude at the top.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a good, you could compare him very strongly to Elon Musk, who is in a CEO ownership position with Twitter. It's like, Elon is the most active user on Twitter, and was for a long time before he bought the company. So Elon knew exactly what to fix, exactly what was wrong going into it. He's like, I know what could be done to fix this. And so, like, Elon's very, very involved role stands in direct contrast to Bob Iger's stand back role, if that's what we're saying it is. I don't get the impression that Bob Iger is as far back from the decisions as maybe that claim like suggests, but I mean, I wouldn't know what the day-to-days of his job are.
Yeah, I mean, he was quoted saying, "The fuck was it? We're not. We're not inserting politics or whatever. We're just inserting what the right thing is, or some shit like that."
He's just saying
he just claims it is like, "I'm doing the right thing. You're all wrong."
All along. Yep. So okay. So to be in the most fair way possible, you could make the case that Bob Iger is. I think the only thing you can conclude when you look at all of the actions in context is that this is all intentional. It was a lie, and or he actually believes the shit he's selling. Like, he's making these decisions, and he's like absolutely dumbfounded and surprised that a movie about 2 gay space pirate witches isn't a blockbuster success. Like, he's actually surprised.
You think putting lesbians in something would sell well?
Well, you might assume, but there's a lot more free versions of it online, and better directed.
I prefer the home movies.
I prefer the home movie. All right, I think we should jump off of Star Wars and let's move into.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, let's move into our next topic, which I think, Cody, you're going to be very, very happy to talk about. Expect. We're going to be talking about Mass Effect getting a TV series on the Amazon platform, and boy, it can't come soon enough. I am so excited because I was always like blaming myself for not getting as deep in or as far in like the Rings of Power as I probably should have. But now I could blame Cody for not getting as deep into the Mass Effect TV series as he probably should have.
I'm fucking gonna have to. This is gonna be my Halo. I know it is.
Oh yeah, I binge watched. I did binge watch all of Halo. I did get through Halo. That happened. Matt, are you a fan of Mass Effect? I don't know if that's in your wheelhouse for game types.
Everything's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Oh,
I've played
yeah.
2 and 3. But what's thrown me off about this is the Fast 9.
Yes. Oh, we should probably finish the story. Really finish talking about. Yes. So the TV series is being developed by Amazon, and it's going to have the writer from F9: The Fast Saga. So not even the best Fast and Furious movie, but like I think F9 wasn't that like.
What's your favorite?
Okay, my favorite is the first one. I think the first one's really good. I think the second one is not as bad as people say it is. But I understand it's not as good as the first. But I think the first one is a beast all on its own. And I you know, they really lost me when they decided to drive the car into space.
That was.
I think that was 9.
No shit.
Yes, that was 9.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, oh god.
Oh my god. I can't believe I've watched it. I feel so bad now. That was so bad. I thought
What was the last one I watched was when he Toretto basically drove a car into a plane that was taking off
for 30
and they
minutes.
Had that fight it.
The
What
long
the fuck? Oh yeah, it was the never-ending runway. Yeah,
runway that lasted forever.
With family.
Family never dies, Han. And it just walks out of the shadow like he was always alive. I
hate how that fucking franchise makes money.
I do too. I can't like I could explain it. It's dumb fun, characters you recognize, and turn off your
Just
brain.
action.
Just
yeah.
action. It's actors and characters you recognize. Maybe you're fond of the characters. Like, I mean, even if you hate the movie, you could maybe make the argument that some of the interactions between the characters are pretty organic, fun, lighthearted.
Well, they've been doing it since 2001.
Well, it's definitely a recipe. I mean, it's definitely a recipe. It's like, I don't know where they go from Cars in Space. I don't know. I didn't see 10. I did not see 10 out of protest. I was like, I'm over it. I'm done. But
It took you
They go to
9
Mass Effect.
movies.
it did. It did take me 9 movies. But actually, I don't think I've seen 7 or 8. Oh no, Fast 7 was the one where Paul Walker's actor died. Paul Walker died.
Paul Walker, actor Paul Walker.
Yeah, where Paul Walker died, and they did that that homage to him at the very end. I thought that was
Yeah.
I thought that was done in pretty good taste. I thought his brother coming in to help fill the scenes was good. I not just from a creative standpoint, but I thought it was very much honoring like his brother's legacy. You know, I wish there was. I wish the tree that he wrapped himself around was more involved in the movie, but you know, you can't get every actor in this on set. But main villain being a tree would be absolutely hilarious and kind of on point for the franchise. Sorry,
It's just
Free in
fucking
space.
trees in
Vin
space.
Diesel just wrapping a chain around the tree and just trying to pull it down with his charger.
That's the movie. That's the movie. It's like,
Fuck you, tree. You took my family.
like my family, I get vengeance. I am the knight. I don't know why I went Batman. I'm so sorry. I don't know where my head is today. But the so what story is open in the Mass Effect universe to tell in this series? Because so they just got the writer, or they got the writer, and it's in development, so they're working on something. But in the article, I didn't see what story they were going to be telling. It didn't look like it was going to be a retelling of the Mass Effect story from the from the 3 games where it's the Reapers.
If they're not gonna do that, then they can't have Shepard in it. Because if they're just gonna make some shit up with Shepard, well, you're gonna piss everyone off, and it's gonna be Halo all over again.
Yeah,
That's exactly what's going to happen.
yeah. So here's where I basically got my so no plot details were revealed about the series, so it's unclear if the series will attempt to adapt the original storyline for the first 3 games, or cause something completely original. Video game adaptations have been a mixed bag, with many of them ending up performing poorly, with Borderlands and Halo being 2 recent examples. And honestly, yeah, those. Even if we didn't want to point to Halo, which is a TV series, which would be more comparable than Borderlands was a absolute flop. That movie bombed so hard. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to them.
Yeah, it had nothing going for it to begin with. So
Right. Well, and Halo Halo actually carved out a huge exemption for themselves to protect them from backlash that did not work, where they told everybody that the Halo TV series was a part of a different timeline of the Halo universe. So it was the Silver timeline. It had nothing to do with the original story from the video games and was going to be a retelling. And so what do you do? It's like they gave themselves so much plot, like cover for the plot, that it looked unrecognizable to any Halo fan. And I think the people who actually like gave that show cover were either shilling or just full of shit. And they wanted to there's this one guy. Yeah.
Like with what Mass Effect could do, they could just basically redo Andromeda, because no one really liked it or played it. I mean, I had fun with it, but it's out of the zeitgeist where you could just basically go, all right, we're doing Andromeda, but we're just gonna retell everything, and you don't have to stick to the source. I don't think people would mind that as much.
Well, a different character in the original video game story, because my understanding is Shepard is the pinnacle character of that story. But I mean, I would expect that also had room for side characters to be doing entirely different, equally or somewhat or close to equally important missions. You could maybe tell happening in the background of Shepard's story, right? I mean, couldn't you have on the other part of the galaxy, you had an entirely different person with a different crew doing something simultaneously that was working towards the Reapers? Or is that not?
I don't know. You could maybe do between Mass Effect 1 and 2, Shepard's dead for 2 years. So you
What?
just do something in that timeline.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he died, and the Lazarus
Yep.
Project brought him back. Oh, what's that?
It was between 1 and
Oh
2.
no, it was the beginning. Yeah, it was the beginning of 2. You die in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then it takes place 2 years after that.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So you could do something in that timeline.
you could. That would be kind of cool. I think what I would want to see is a lore canon faithful readaptation of the original story, because there's also the ending of the original games have like a variety of endings that you can apply to it, right? I mean, like your decisions in the game matter for the storyline. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you picked
Up until the ending.
yeah, if you pick a path, if they picked a path and wanted to tell that specific story, and they want to just be more faithful than other video game adaptations, I mean, you have a loyal audience who will try it. You gotta at least pretend like you're being faithful. Like Rings of Power pretended that they were being faithful, such that like normies who didn't know anything about the Lord of the Rings got on board with it, because they're like, oh, this is a story I haven't heard before. And then you had everyone who actually knew what like Tolkien's universe like looked like, just saying, no, seriously, there's problems with that, and like no one would believe them, and so they still kept making some money. Although I think Rings of Power is actually a huge financial bust. I think that's what the numbers showed. I'd have to re-educate myself on the numbers. It's been a few months since I.
Yeah, 64% of the American audience dropped off after midway through season 1, and so you had to carry that over to season 2, which had a even more drop off. So
Right. So
very few people watched it.
Right. I guess, yeah. So between an original story or a retelling of the original, or maybe something in between those two things, where it's like a.
You could do the First Contact War. Takes place before the games, where we set out into the galaxy as a human race. Do that.
Oh, that could be cool. Like that, then they'd be fighting all the different space factions that you see, or like a bunch of them, I expect. I don't know enough about the pre.
It's just the
lore.
one. It's just the one.
Okay. Which?
It's the humans versus the Turians.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't even know which factions the humans were at war with. I thought the faction they were at war with were the Krogans or whatever. Are they the Krogans?
The Turians were at war with Krogans.
Okay, got it.
If you keep on just throwing out random bullshit, I can keep on fact checking you on it.
Well, or just or just like when you say like, oh, the pre-war. I was like, oh, I want to know more about the pre-war. You could just keep going. It's like, you could just tell me more about the war before. But no, it's
I'd rather see them take a route like the Halo, what was it, Pillar of Autumn movie?
Oh yeah,
Was that what it was called?
Yeah, it was
where like Master Chief was mentioned, but it wasn't focused on him.
Forward
And
Unto
then he
Dawn.
came in. Yeah, Forward Unto Dawn.
Oh yep.
He showed up later in the movie, and you're like, oh, dude, nice. So if they did something like that, where the first maybe half a season was lore building for Mass Effect, and then Commander Shepard comes in, like that would get a lot of the fans hyped up.
I think so too. Like, I mean, you could. That would be a really good way to do it. And honestly, the Halo movies actually were pretty good. Besides Halo Legends, which appeared on Netflix, where it was like all these like really, really stupid, more creative stories they were telling. Yeah, the Halo movies, they had I think it was there were like two more that I'm blanking on the names of them, but yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I kind of spaced on those. I spaced on the movies when we were as we were talking. All right, but we'll have to wait and see what that looks like, obviously. So let's jump into the next story that we have going on and that would be another video game story. Let's go! Hogwarts Legacy sequel.
Yay!
Hogwarts Legacy sequel officially in development. So I know that the original story, I don't know what that would be a telling of. Like what, did the original video game end in a way that led like a plot opening for continuation?
No idea. I didn't finish it. I put like 30 hours into it, and I'd never finished it.
Okay, but
I want to point something out real quick.
Yeah.
We went from space wizards to space to just wizards.
We've covered the
More
spectrum.
or less being witches.
More or less being witches. Well, we know that. Okay, so we know that Star Wars Legacy. We know that Hogwarts Legacy was financially successful. I think it was even a contender for Game of the Year in 2023.
Is the best-selling game of 2023.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely did huge. I don't think anyone should be super surprised that it's getting a continuation. I've only seen like clips of the game. I've seen like playthroughs, but I have not experienced the game myself. Do you think that you'll get a lot of the original players from the first game into this one, guys? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think the people who tried it?
Yes.
Okay, you think there's going to be carryover?
Absolutely.
What did you?
The
Potter
Harry
fans,
Potter fan base is batshit insane, so yeah, they'll
Yeah.
go for it.
they
Well-
know what house they're in. They know fucking
True.
everything.
That's true. They know their Horcrux.
They
Or
know
not
the core
Horcrux.
of their
Patronus. Their Patronus. They know their Patronus. Their wand. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. They well, and this game is probably gonna give you. Unless your character dies, I imagine this game was probably set up in a way that you'll be able to copy your character from the original Hogwarts Legacy into the sequel.
Well, you start as a 5th year, so it did have potential to be a trilogy where you do 5, 6, and 7th year.
Interesting. And then yeah,
That'd be cool.
if you can port your character from the first game into the sequel, that would be really nice. That'd be a really nice touch as well.
I think they should have focused more on school shit, to be honest. Because, like, you did, like, a class or whatever that was, like, basically a cutscene, or you do a quick, like, you learn a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're out in the world just, like, fighting bandits and getting into the forest, and it's like, you just showed up at the school as a
And you-
5th year.
And you're already fighting dragons.
You're fighting dragons shit.
Cody wants to take his owls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want school shit.
Pass your test. multiple choice. I
They
want
should have made it more like the game Bully,
Oh,
where you got
okay.
more class stuff.
Yeah,
like
that was.
that.
I played the Game Boy too.
Well, I'm guessing the game. I mean, it'll probably take a while for a long time for development. But you know, in addition to that, this project, HBO Max has their Harry Potter series, their TV series that's still being worked on. Actually, it's still being cast, so it's got a ways to go
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
getting cast.
But you know, the timeline might line up where there's just this era of Harry Potter intensity again, where you have like we had it growing up, where we all had the Daniel Radcliffe's, Emma Watson, and the actor who plays Ron Weasley.
Rupert Grint.
Thank you. I knew he's
No,
famous.
he's not as famous.
He's
but-
famous. He's not as famous. He was in an Ed Sheeran music video. That's how I know him. No, but but yeah, we had
Yeah,
our generation.
it could be like another zeitgeist thing for a new generation of like Harry Potter fans, because it was a fucking almost like a decade. No, the movies were like a decade.
Yeah.
Plus, you had all the books and whatnot.
Yep. Well, and also, I mean, like there was merchandising going on. Like I had the Harry Potter pencil box. You know, people don't have pencil boxes
remember-
anymore.
Did you hear about the when the 6th book was coming out? I think 4chan like leaked it.
Yes. Oh, that's such a
Leaked the
funny
ending,
video.
and you had people driving around spoiling it for people in line for the book.
Yes, I love that.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
Internet Historian has an amazing video on that. It's hilarious. Go check out Internet Historian's video on spoilers, because he does like a whole subcategory on just this specific thing we're talking about with the reveal of Snape killing Dumbledore and 4chan getting involved with the 6th book. It was so funny. Do you know about that, Matt? Have you do you watch Internet Historian?
I've watched a couple videos, but I haven't watched any spoiler stuff.
Remind me to share that one with you. You're gonna love it. It's hilarious. It's the best. It's sort of like what we do with spoiling, but just better.
We don't drive out to book releases yelling out the ending.
We could though. It'd be funny.
It'd be fun.
Just go spoil everything. That was fantastic. But
I
yeah,
troll in real life.
but if the movie or if the TV series and the video game comes out simultaneously, and I think that there's still a big push for Harry Potter at like the amusement parks and stuff. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's Wizarding World is huge in Orlando.
so
The Universals.
I mean, young people are going to get a different but probably similar experience to what we had, where we had the movies growing up, but we didn't have like extreme video games, and now they're getting extreme AAA video games, and they're going to have their own TV series on HBO Max as well, and they're going to grow up alongside these actors too, because if they release it as they intend to, or as they at least say they intend to, then you have an entire generation who's going to grow up with this cast the same way we did with the original cast. So
Yeah.
considering these
You know,
Good.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say. Funnily enough, I just realized this that the combat in this game, Hogwarts Legacy, is very similar to playing a mage in Veilguard.
Yeah, I noticed
It's
that.
almost identical.
I noticed that. I was calling out similarities, and even with like some of the art style looked kind of similar too. At least with the setting, I think you made like we were talking about this off the podcast that I thought the setting kind of the graphic design of the setting, not necessarily like the map and stuff and like the artifact or architecture, but just the graphics of the setting and the combat mechanics looked very identical to how I remember seeing how
The art
Hogwarts
style,
Legacy
yeah.
play. And then you mentioned that the character design was like significantly different, but otherwise there were similarities there for sure. Which we didn't really bring up Dragon Age as a topic, but Dragon Age Veilguard's like we saw a chart this week where Dragon Age Veilguard's player counts is kind of dropping pretty harshly. So I don't know, maybe that's people finishing the game. I mean, what's your take on that, Cody?
I don't feel like there's a lot of replay value. Like the only replay value you'll get out of it is choosing a different faction to start with,
Okay.
because then you have different interactions and whatnot throughout the game. But there's no choices throughout the game, really.
They said they're not doing DLC too, right? Like they're
that was planned before. That was planned beforehand. The creative director was like, "No, we tried to make the most full game we possibly could, so there aren't any plans for DLC." It was before the game came out.
And you almost can't blame a guy for that, because there's this whole big kerfluffle about video games that were only DLCs, and every DLC was like a full-priced video game with half the content. And now I almost don't want to blame them for that decision, considering the backlash that came from all the DLC stuff. But there was actually we were really just calling for a balance.
Sorry, the original ending for Dragon Age Inquisition was behind a DLC too.
Yeah, so it's like I really can't blame them for not doing a DLC. However, the fandom's request/demand was pretty reasonable. It was just give us a reasonably priced one and don't put anything critical behind it. Like make it elective and make it affordable. It was all the fandom was ever asking for. However, I think Call of Duty is like free content after they sell you $100 video game, and then Call of Duty gives you a bunch of free content and DLCs and patches and updates. Yeah, that's better, but it's free, so it's kind of like you just win by value. So,
it's another $20 for the Vault Edition, and you just get skins with it.
Yeah, I love skins. It's my favorite thing about a video
operators.
Game. I got bad operators.
All right, Buffalo Bill.
I'm sorry. All right. We got one more story to jump into. We got a little bit of time to cover it, so let's do that. We're going to move into our next topic, and that is going to be, the headline reads, former World of Warcraft team lead predicts AAA video games studios will double down to get even stronger protest message out after Donald Trump's victory. So, again, we made our effort to avoid the election-based news. However, this is kind of is bait we had to take, because there's not any getting away from it. If you have major people in the industry telling you point blank that studios are not done with this woke messaging, it's just telling you the culture war is still on. Like, I don't know that would surprise anybody. Like, we're still in the culture war, we're still fighting it out, like trying to encourage creatives to come forward and make their projects without messaging in them, encouraging studios to change course. But if the people in these industries are steadfast, we just have to defeat them. We just have to beat them out with messaging, beat them out with better quality product and better quality games. But I don't know that anyone was incredibly surprised or taken aback that the industry recoiled in abject horror when Trump won. I mean, they all became...
You gotta put a chick in it, make it gay.
Yeah, got it in the White House. in the White House, put a chick in it, make her lame and gay.
Make her lame and gay.
But yeah,
I wanted a chick in my linguine.
Make her lame and gay. No, so I mean, if you got big names calling it out, saying that they're not done with this stuff, then yeah, we really have to brace ourselves for whatever.
Not surprised.
Well, we have to brace.
What the fuck is that?
So this is actually okay. So this image specifically, it's Mrs. Freeze from the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Yeah, that's Mrs. Freeze. What is that? That's exactly. So we got a response from Grums, though. I think AAA devs will try to double down to get an even stronger protest message out. This will tank their games even harder, and investors will eventually punish them in the stock market until profit reigns over insanity. 2 years to stop the spread. Okay, so he keeps going. I don't think we're gonna follow this all the way down, but oh yeah, it's just 2 years to stop the spread. Don't forget it to identify as non-binary. This is actually a good term. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's non-binary. That's hilarious.
I was seeing that comment a lot when it came to like Veilguard videos and whatnot.
Yep. Well, and we have Sweet Baby Inc. is still at the forefront of some of this woke messaging in video games, so they're not done. You still have, I think when the new administration comes in, I think we'll see a lot of change around how grant money is given out to NGOs, because a lot of NGOs are the ones behind this, where nonprofit organizations are coming in and providing advice or saying there's these requirements to like insert political messaging into your video game, and then it ruins the video game. Those NGOs, at least one of them we've talked about on the channel before, is entirely funded by government grants. So, if we get spending under control in this next administration and that shit gets cut out, I think that will be a huge crack of the whip to these studios who otherwise couldn't afford to do that stuff and screw with their games or even know how to move forward with adding that messaging into their games.
Yeah, because I think like Sweet Baby, I think offered Black Myth Wukong devs like $7 to $10 million or whatever to work on their shit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they were asking for $7 to $10 million. It's like, what the fuck?
Why would
just
we?
To like, hey, just put a chick in it, make it gay. There you go. Give me my $7 mil.
Yeah, I'll take that money. I could do a lot better job. I know exactly what to throw in there that'll piss everyone off. I could do it.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's not done, but I think that there's a lot to be said about this stuff. Elon Musk actually, we talked about it the other week where Elon Musk was asked about opening a game studio, and Elon Musk talked about how you have these NGOs coming in and participating in the creation of these video games, and if that stopped, that would go a huge way. You have a lot of government money and a lot of investment money going towards these studios, but one of the best policy ideas that came forward on this topic was the idea that you could not claim failed artistic creation as a tax write-off. That could be huge, because think about how many companies have done that in just this last decade alone, just because projects failed. The most notable I can recall is the Batwoman project that Warner Brothers wrote off for $100 million, and they just never put it out. It was finished. They got to testing. They got to screens. They could have just thrown it in theaters and made $10 million off of it at theaters for their audience, and lost the $90 million.
They would have got $10 million back. They would have made $10 million.
No, I know. They would have gotten $10 million back. They were going to lose money no matter what on that project, but if they stopped getting tax deductions for failed artistic creation, which I don't even know how that's a write-off. If every single one of our videos that didn't do well, we could just write that off, man, we'd be making money. That'd be our first dollars earned on the channel.
Yeah, what were you saying earlier with the government handing out loans and grants and whatnot? Elon's gonna be part of or supposedly is gonna be part of it's like government spending efficiency or whatever.
Oh, the meme, the Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah,
the Doge.
So if you got Elon just being like, no, we're not handing out people money, it's like, oh, dude.
Well, there's no money to give. None of the money doesn't fucking exist. They just keep...
No, we gotta print. We gotta wait a week so we can print more.
What were you saying, Matt?
Saying money's not real.
I'm saying fiat currency is not real. It's all based on the faith of the dollar. There's nothing backing it. There's no actual value behind the dollar besides the faith in the dollar. So that's a whole different conversation.
Faith in the dollar.
That's a whole different conversation.
Praise the mighty dollar.
Praise be $2 bill. But no, they just change the machine. They just type in their money, add a zero, and there you go. That much more money exists. It's done. It's like when Rick and Morty like destroy the government by changing the value of the dollar from a 1 to a 0. It's like that. It's like that. Exactly. All right. I think that pretty much covers all the topics we wanted to get into. We got past the hour, so I think we are going to wrap it up there unless you guys have any follow-up thoughts.
Nope.
All right.
Good.
All right, guys. We are going to...
I'm afraid to interrupt you again.
Fair enough. Well, thank you guys so much. If you guys did enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, share the video out there, share the video out there, make sure to like the video, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Go and tell your stories. Peace out.